Thank you for segueing into that earlier today. There it says, Jesus traveled through all the towns and villages. He taught in their synagogues and told people the good news about the kingdom. And he healed all kinds of diseases and sicknesses. He saw the crowds of people and he felt sorry for them because they were worried and helpless. They were like sheep without a shepherd. Jesus said to his followers, "There are many people to harvest, but there are only a few workers to help harvest them. God owns the harvest. Pray to him that he will send more workers to help gather his harvest." This is the word of God for the people of God. Now, if you remember back to last week in our video that we had, Mr. Riley said that discipleship is a personal calling, but it is never a private one. You see, we not only need this personal engagement as our growth as disciples, we also need to have a personal engagement with other people. This engagement involves initiating and building relationships. We need to keep our why in focus. I've heard some of you saying that I'm still trying to figure out what my why is, so I hope you keep looking at what that is. We also need to remember that we don't undertake outreach to provide ministry for people, but rather we are in ministry in relationship with people. Jesus gives us many examples throughout his ministry in how to engage with other people. If we look at John chapter 4, verses 3 through 7, we find that Jesus meets this woman by a well, and he engages with her as he shares with her the good news. Here in John it says, "So he left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near a plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, 'Will you give me a drink?'" Here, Jesus engages with this woman through a simple request for a drink of water. How easy is that? The story of the Samaritan woman at the well is one of the longest recorded conversations in the Gospels. It's a wonderful story about this encounter between a physically thirsty Jesus and a spiritually thirsty Samaritan woman. In this story, we find several connecting points that we can apply as we engage with other people. So I want to encourage you to go back and look at this passage several times throughout this week to contemplate how to personally meet with others. We find in the story that Jesus meets people where they are. They were there at the well. Jesus also accepts us as we are. If you remember, this Samaritan woman had been married 5 times previously, and the man she's living with now, they're not married. Jesus has this gift to offer to anyone who would receive the gift. The only barriers are not taking that time to stop and to get to know others. Engagement involves initiating and building relationships. Now, for us to effectively engage with others, we need to be authentic, we need to be organic, and we need to be consistent. So what does all that mean? Well, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines authentic as being of undisputed origin, to be genuine. Our personal engagement with others must be genuine. We need to begin by seeing all the people as persons created in the image of God. We need to have a sincere desire to know people, to be committed to being in relationship with people, with our neighbors, even if they don't attend our church or any church at all. The more authentic and honest our encounter with others, the more effective we are in initiating a relationship that has the capacity to grow. It has been said, people won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People want to be known. They want to know that we care about them. As we engage with others and we build our relationships, our approach has to be organic. By that I mean relationships can't be forced. They need to occur naturally. Relationships take time to shape and to evolve. In the church, we need to provide opportunities to connect with our neighbors in ways that build authentic community. As we connect with our neighbors and to get to know them and their stories, it will lead to a natural opening to share our faith with them. When we take the time to truly to get to know others, invitations develop from our growing knowledge of where they are in their life. Through our organic relationships and engagements, we foster life-giving relationships. Healthy relationships require a consistent investment of time. Consistent interactions can include things like a phone call, a personal invitation to an event, or simply letting someone know that they've been prayed for. It can simply be a knock on a neighbor's door just to check in on them. Consistency in relationship takes time. It takes involvement. It requires effort and energy. But it's all worth it. In a world that people are more concerned about themselves, people appreciate those who offer love in consistent ways. People are attracted to Christ, not persuaded to Christ. They're not argued into the kingdom, but are drawn by the love of God when we model and communicate in visible, consistent ways the same love that we have. Robert Dotson shares as he was traveling through Johannesburg, South Africa, he learned a greeting called Sawubona. This greeting is particularly used in the northern Natal tribes, and it means, I see you, or we see you. The traditional response is Yebo Sawubona, which means, yes, I see you too. Seeing is a dialogue. It's an invitation to participate in someone else's life. It is acknowledging the dignity of another person's existence. We have been hearing Matthew 9, verses 35 through 38 all this month. In these verses, they describe Jesus as seeing the crowds, having compassion for them. Now, his disciples that were there, they witnessed the same thing that Jesus did, but the disciples, all they saw was the crowd. Jesus viewed them with different eyes, though. Our prayer each day should be that we might see people the way that Jesus saw them. Engagement with others includes a corporate and personal dimension of relationship and discipleship. The corporate aspect includes everything that the church does to foster developing relationships and inviting others into discipleship opportunities. The personal dimension of discipleship is the development of relationships over time. It is the efforts of individual believers who are willing to be the presence of Christ in our neighborhoods. through personal discipleship, it'll change our culture. When we see all the people with a desire to be in conversation, ready to listen to their stories, only then will be in a position to speak into their lives or invite them on this lifelong journey to follow Jesus. I encourage you to let this prayer become one that you say every day. It goes like this: God, help me to see the people that you place in my life each and every day. Amen. This morning I have one last video for you. While I'm getting it set up, I'll ask Ron to hit the lights over here so you can see it. But this